Zachary Thayer. The opinion here are that of my own and that of my own personal. In this blog, I will be discussing two issues that are being worked on right now in the medical field that are doing research both directly and indirectly to be able to help cure issues that are being related to health. These two issues are going to be known as autism and cancer. In this process, I'm going to show you in multivariable calculus how and what's happening to be able to have issues, what we know as in common terminology as autism and as cancer. Let me give you off by first talking a little about what we're seeing. In cancer, we see an atomic structure mutate. This mutation is coming in a form of rapid growth movement based on an atomic ionization process. This means that the mutated cell is having a higher issue. The best way I can explain it is please go into Google and look up multivariable calculus and how the ionization hits. And also please go into Google and pull up cancer drug treatment atomic structure. Now, that again is the atomic structure of cancer and put in medical drug. In this blog, I'm going to first go off by explaining what an atom is. Watch how I draw. Oh, excuse me. I do have very bad drawing. Okay, this spiral is known in mathematics as the golden rule, but more importantly as a Fibonacci sequence. That's why in Wall Street that they have what is known as binary optionization. Then we take and we go like this, and the other one. Oh, I messed that up again. I apologize. Okay, atoms look predominantly like this. With four clusterization. This is why in basic chemistry, the Outlook has different formats. And each one of these that are down here are known as a vector. See how that's how another atom would go mutate. For the cancer drug, you'll notice that it looks like this as the sequence for the atomic structuring. That means that we're seeing dual points both here, 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 and here. In calculus, that is known as the part of where it hits, or the mutational form. Now, each one of these, this is known as X1, X2, X3, X4, and why is that important? These are the submajors. The problem we are having in cancer right now is there's a thing called a VEGF-C. That's right next to an N, which will be on the left-hand side, and a carbon, which will be on the right-hand side. But there will be two squiggly lines that come off of this that go down on that looks in the middle. This is where within RNA transformation from an ionic function that we are able to see. What that means is X1 would be the male, or +3 would be the male, -1 is the female, and the transposition in calculus, or X over +2, is what we know as life. This is only right now, though, in our culture and our understanding of math, that we're able to go to the fourth power, or the fourth derivative. That's why most of your stock markets, your computers and stuff like that go in when you go to check like your E-Trade, your Scottrade account, and vice versa. The problem that it is in multivariable calculus, known right now to engineering, is we can go over x to the 18th power. That means, you see all these little small dots? Those are actually points of ionic mutation. You see where when we go into the drug that says the cancerous drug's atomic structure. See where it has those two squiggly lines? And just right above it, the nitrogen aspect of it is a different color than a little bit of the rest. That means that in math, they're isolating the X3. Think of that as if you're falling off the ladder, the being 1 to 2 feet away. In math, that's where you are at the heaviest, because that's right before you hit the function, or the F4. Okay? Now, why is this a problem? Dietary consumption, gender, hereditary hereditary genes are all part of this. Now, we will take this same ideology and look at autism now. Now, why is this important? Einstein was working on a thing that isolated fight or flight mentality using positive and negative ion, and thus the distribution of a positive ion to a negative ion, thus creating the one being negative, the other one being positive, aka what we call life or reproduction. Now, why does this is important? With the same ideological viewpoint that has, we will look at a single vector analysis. This is what we call gray matter within neuropsychology. I apologize. I thought I had stopped. This is known as both positive and negative neuron ions. This is a single vector. Even within our brain, we still have X1, X2, X3, and all the way down to 18. Now, what is important about that? Right here, our body all has the amygdala, which is your primal fight or flight based thing. This is why most of your drugs like cancer, polio, heart attacks, strokes are all tied to the lymphatic system. The lymphatic system is directly tied to primal ideology of fight or flight mentality, meaning your amygdala is causing a heat or the release of a certain neuron. My understanding, it's serotonin. Now, what does that do? Like any other vector, it releases heat. Heat rises. The problem that most people forget, and what we're seeing in autism, is right here there's a burning pattern that is different. Oxford, Harvard Medical, Johns Hopkins has both been able to prove that based on the differences of the burn pattern. Think of it as a fire. We still will have ashes, and depending on the type of the ion, or the water, hot water, cold water, is how much steam or dust we will kick up. Same exact ideology. So if it's more negative neurons hitting, the burn pattern might be different. If it's positive ions, those might be different. Thus, based on hereditary disease, gender, age, the burn pattern is going to be completely different. That's why we are able to now tell within modern science the difference within the stage of the autism. That is why my argument when I presented in front of Washington, D.C. for the Blazing the Trail Youth Summit, looking at-risk youth, was looking at the difference of the ionic coding and the amygdala and the changing the movement within DHS for at-risk youth from a quantitative model to a qualitative model. This is why Kalamazoo County was nominated with the help of other individuals within this county for what is known as a System of Care grant. Also an SOC grant in Kalamazoo RAPS. I was one of the youth that participated on it. I sat on the evaluation committee and also on the cultural diversity and the analysis team. Western Michigan was a subpart of this organization, and the CETA program was founded because of this, which is a program for foster youth for the state of Michigan. Now, if this burn situation is different, think of it, the best way I can explain it to you for everyday people, when you're on, no offense, or is think of it as a football field. The hotter you get to a ground, the warmer it is. The higher up it is, it's not as much. That means that the burning function based on the Imglada is faster, which is releasing a heat variant. And the buildup of that dead ash would be what's causing the chemical reaction differences between the interceptors of the brain to be able to deal with the child. Now, some of you will ask why I did that. See, X1, X2, X3, X4, all the way down to 18. Ion. I apologize. I got a little off topic. Now, some of you would ask why I left industrial engineering. Originally, my goal was to go into medicine to be able to help with this type of stuff. My calculus scores were one of the top 3 in the nation when I was in high school. I was in 3rd grade able to do calc. It was something that my godfather realized very quickly about me. Now, as a young man who publicly is admitting, my adopted parents didn't really know how good I was at math. I always lied to them because I had a really big problem due to my anxiety disorder. Yes, I admit it. That's why I understand the autism and the cancer. Because of my anxiety disorder, I never wanted them questioning what I did. Now, because I finally have learned to realize what my math can do, I am only now starting to see the changes of this. I can prove mathematically what's happening within the system. Just like I was able to prove the thing with the banking, and I was able to prove the stages. We just now released what are known as 3D printers. I wonder in my life what I should do. Because of it, I believe, you never know what your calling is. And that's all I can say.